The history of our planet is written in stone. Every fossil we uncover is a tiny miracle, a whisper from a world that vanished millions of years ago. Think about it. For an animal to become a fossil, the conditions have to be absolutely perfect. It must die in the right place, be buried quickly by sediment like mud or sand, and then remain undisturbed for eons while its bones slowly turn to rock. Scientists estimate that only one bone in a billion ever completes this incredible journey. This makes every single fossil a precious window into the deep past, a puzzle piece in the grand story of life on Earth. It's an amazing process, and it's why paleontologists get so excited about every new find. Now imagine something even rarer. Imagine not just finding the remains of a single animal, but finding two animals locked together in their final desperate moments. These are called action fossils or behavioral fossils, and they are the ultimate prize for anyone who studies prehistoric life. They aren't just bones, they are stories. They capture a single dramatic instant, a life or death struggle, and preserve it for eternity. These fossils are unbelievably uncommon. They require a sudden catastrophic event like a collapsing sand dune or a volcanic eruption to freeze the combatants in place before their battle can end. Finding one is like finding a photograph of a lightning strike. These incredible snapshots from the ancient world offer us more than just a thrilling scene. They provide solid, undeniable proof of animal behavior. We can guess that a Tyrannosaurus rex hunted a Triceratops, but a fossil showing them entangled with battle wounds is hard evidence. It moves our understanding from theory to fact. These fossils answer questions we thought were lost to time. How did they fight? What weapons did they use? Who preyed on whom? Each one of these frozen conflicts helps us paint a more vivid and accurate picture of the brutal, beautiful, and complex ecosystems of the past. It's real-life drama, millions of years in the making. From the dusty plains of Mongolia to the riverbeds of North America, these fossils have been found all over the world. Each one tells a unique tale of survival, desperation, and the raw power of nature. They reveal that the struggle for existence was just as intense then as it is now. Predators and prey were locked in an evolutionary arms race, constantly developing new ways to attack and defend. In the following sections, we're going to dive into some of the most spectacular fossilized fights ever discovered. We'll explore the stories behind these ancient showdowns and see what they teach us about the lives of these magnificent long-lost creatures. Get ready for some of the wildest encounters in Earth's history. Imagine the scene. It's the end of the Ice Age, about 12,000 years ago on the vast, grassy plains of what is now Nebraska. Two colossal male Columbian mammoths, each weighing over 10 tons, are facing off. These giants were relatives of modern elephants, and just like them, the males likely fought fiercely for dominance and mating rights. We know this because paleontologists uncovered their skeletons in a place now called Ashfall Fossil Beds. But this wasn't just any pair of skeletons. This was the final, tragic result of a battle that neither animal could win. Their massive tusks were inextricably locked together, a permanent monument to their fatal conflict. What led to this impossible situation? Upon closer examination, scientists noticed something unusual. Both mammoths were missing one of their tusks, likely from previous battles. This asymmetry allowed them to get much closer to each other than they normally would have during a fight. In the heat of the moment, one mammoth must have lunged, thrusting its remaining tusk with incredible force. The tusk pierced its rival's skull, going straight through the eye socket. But in a cruel twist of fate, the odd shape of their tusks caused them to become hopelessly entangled. They were stuck, bound together in a deadly embrace. The struggle must have been immense. These two titans, fueled by adrenaline and rage, would have pushed and pulled, trying desperately to break free, but their tusks held firm. As hours turned into days, their strength would have faded. Unable to eat or drink, they were doomed. Exhaustion would have set in, their massive bodies weakening under the strain. Eventually they collapsed together, a single tangled mass of bone and flesh weighing over 20 tons. They died there on the plains, locked together in death as they were in their final fight. It's a powerful and somber story of how the drive to compete can lead to ultimate destruction. As if the story wasn't dramatic enough, paleontologists found another small clue beneath the leg of one of the mammoths. They discovered the crushed skull of a coyote. This poor animal was likely an opportunist, drawn in by the sounds of the struggle or the scent of the dying giants. It probably ventured too close, hoping for an easy meal, only to be accidentally crushed when the mammoths finally fell. This tiny detail adds another layer to the scene, painting a vivid picture of the wider ecosystem and the dangers that lurked even for scavengers. It's a complete, multi-layered story of life and death on the prehistoric plains, all told by a set of ancient bones. In the rugged Badlands of Montana, a fossil was discovered that paleontologists had only dreamed of. Buried within the famous Hell Creek Formation, which dates back 67 million years, were the remains of two of the most iconic dinosaurs ever to walk the earth. A juvenile Tyrannosaurus rex and an adult Triceratops were found entangled, their skeletons remarkably complete and preserved together. Nicknamed the dueling dinosaurs, this fossil captures a legendary rivalry in stunning detail. It's one of the most significant paleontological finds of the 21st century, offering a direct look at a battle between a top predator and a heavily armed herbivore. The evidence of a violent struggle is written all over their bones. The Triceratops has clear injuries, including several teeth from the T-Rex embedded in the vertebrae of its spine. This shows that the Tyrant lizard was actively attacking, biting down on the powerful herbivore's back. However, the T-Rex didn't escape unharmed. Its own skeleton shows signs of a brutal fight, including a cracked skull and broken fingers on one hand. This wasn't a one-sided hunt, it was a true duel. The Triceratops was fighting back with all its might, using its size and its famous horns to defend itself against the ferocious predator. The fossil raises some fascinating questions. The T-Rex was a juvenile, smaller than a full-grown adult, while the Triceratops was a powerful, mature animal. Was the young predator hunting alone, or was it part of a pack? Some scientists speculate that the T-Rex may have been part of a family group, and this particular encounter went terribly wrong. Another theory suggests the Triceratops might have been the aggressor, charging the smaller predator to protect its territory or its young. The evidence suggests a chaotic, desperate struggle that ended with both combatants dead, possibly buried together in a sudden landslide or swept away in a flood. What makes this fossil truly extraordinary is its completeness. The T-Rex skeleton is believed to be the only 100% complete specimen ever found. This level of preservation is almost unheard of. It allows scientists to study the anatomy of these animals in unprecedented detail, from the tips of their claws to the texture of their skin impressions, which were also preserved. The dueling dinosaurs are more than just a spectacular fossil. They are a treasure trove of scientific information. They provide a rare frozen moment of behavior, confirming the classic predator-prey relationship we've always imagined, and revealing the savage reality of life in the late Cretaceous. Deep in the Gobi Desert of Mongolia, in 1971, a team of paleontologists stumbled upon one of the most famous fossils in the world. Known as the fighting dinosaurs, this incredible specimen preserves a life-or-death struggle between a velociraptor and a Protoceratops. Discovered in the 80-million-year-old Jadokta Formation, the fossil shows the two animals locked in their final, fatal embrace. The scene is so dynamic and clear that it looks like a sculpture carved to capture a moment of pure, primal conflict. It was one of the first fossils to provide direct, undeniable evidence of predatory behavior in dinosaurs, and it forever shaped our image of the velociraptor. The details of the fossil tell a dramatic story. The velociraptor, a sleek and feathered predator, is seen launching itself at the much bulkier, plant-eating Protoceratops. Its famous sickle-shaped claw on its foot is positioned right at the throat of the herbivore, likely aiming for the carotid artery or windpipe. This was a killing blow. At the same time, the Protoceratops, a relative of Triceratops with a powerful parrot-like beak, fought back fiercely. It clamped its jaws down on the velociraptor's right arm, trapping the predator and possibly breaking the bone. They were locked in a deadly stalemate. How did they end up frozen in this pose for eternity? The most likely explanation is a sudden environmental catastrophe. The Gobi Desert was once a landscape of sand dunes, and it's believed that the dune on which they were fighting suddenly collapsed. A wall of sand would have buried them instantly, suffocating them, and preserving their battle pose perfectly. Another theory suggests a more drawn-out end. Perhaps the velociraptor's kick was fatal, causing the Protoceratops to bleed out. But in its dying moments, its weight collapsed on top of the raptor, crushing it and trapping it under its body. This fossil was a game-changer for paleontology. Before its discovery, dinosaurs were often seen as slow, lumbering reptiles. The fighting dinosaurs helped usher in a new era of understanding, portraying them as dynamic, active, and behaviorally complex animals, much like modern birds and mammals. It confirmed that Velociraptor used its terrifying claw as a weapon and wasn't just a scavenger. It also showed that herbivores like Protoceratops were not helpless victims. They were powerful and dangerous animals that could and would fight for their lives. This single fossil provides more insight into dinosaur behavior than 1,000 isolated bones ever could. For decades, the common story of the age of dinosaurs was simple. Giant reptiles ruled the earth, while our tiny mammal ancestors scurried in the shadows trying not to get stepped on. But a spectacular fossil from China, dating back about 125 million years, completely turned that idea on its head. It revealed a dramatic scene. A mammal actively attacking a dinosaur that was 3 times its size. The fossil shows a Repenomamus giganticus, a badger-sized mammal, locked in combat with a Psittacosaurus, a bipedal, plant-eating dinosaur. This discovery was a bombshell, proving that some Mesozoic mammals weren't just hiding, they were hunting. The details of the fossil are astonishing. The Repenomamus is clearly the aggressor. Its teeth are sunk deep into the ribs of the Psittacosaurus, so deeply in fact that 2 of the dinosaur's ribs were broken. The mammal's paws are gripping its prey, with one claw hooked onto the dinosaur's lower jaw and a hind leg trapping the dinosaur's leg. This wasn't a case of scavenging a dead animal. The position of the bodies indicates a dynamic, active attack. The mammal was trying to take down a much larger and more powerful creature, a testament to its ferocity and boldness. Like many other incredible fossils from this region of China, the 2 combatants were preserved by a sudden volcanic event. They were fighting when a lahar, a fast-moving flow of hot volcanic ash, mud and debris, swept over them. This instantly killed and buried them, freezing their struggle in time. This type of preservation is what makes the fossils from the Yixian Formation so special. They capture not just bones but skin, feathers, and even behavior in exquisite detail. This fossil is a perfect example, giving us a rare glimpse into a predator-prey interaction that really shatters old assumptions about the roles of mammals and dinosaurs. This wasn't an isolated piece of evidence either. Other fossils of Repenomamus had been found before, and one even contained the bones of a baby Psittacosaurus in its stomach region. That earlier find suggested that these mammals ate dinosaurs, but it couldn't prove whether they hunted them or just scavenged them. This new fossil of the attack in progress provided the smoking gun. It suggested that Repenomamus may have specialized in hunting young or even adult Psittacosaurus. It paints a picture of a far more complex and dangerous world for small dinosaurs, where threats could come not just from larger dinosaurs, but also from fierce, furry mammals rising from below. Sometimes the fossil record preserves a chain reaction of bad luck, a perfect storm of unfortunate events that tells an incredible story. One of the most amazing examples of this comes from the 150-million-year-old Solnhofen limestone of Germany, a site famous for its exquisitely preserved fossils. This particular fossil slab documents a triple tragedy involving 3 different animals from 3 different environments: the air, the water, and the depths below. It involves a pterosaur, a small fish, and a much larger predatory fish, all caught in a single fatal moment of interaction that ended badly for everyone. The story begins with a pterosaur called Rhamphorhynchus, a flying reptile with a 2-meter wingspan and a beak full of needle-like teeth. This pterosaur had just swooped down to the surface of the ancient lagoon and successfully snatched a small fish, Leptolepides, from the water. We know this because the small fish is preserved in the pterosaur's throat pouch, or gular pouch. It was a successful hunt, a moment of triumph for the flying predator, but that victory was short-lived, as another, much larger predator was lurking just beneath the surface, watching the drama unfold. As the Rhamphorhynchus took off from the water, its small fish prize in its throat, it was ambushed from below. A large, fast-moving predatory fish called Aspidorhynchus, nearly a meter long, shot up from the depths to attack the pterosaur. Perhaps it was after the pterosaur itself, or maybe it was trying to steal the smaller fish. But the attack went wrong. The Aspidorhynchus misjudged its lunge, and instead of getting a meal, it impaled the pterosaur's wing membrane with its long, sharp, beak-like snout. Now both animals were in serious trouble. The 2 predators were now inextricably linked. The Rhamphorhynchus couldn't fly with a huge fish dangling from its wing, and the Aspidorhynchus couldn't detach its snout from the tough, leathery wing membrane. The weight of the large fish would have dragged the pterosaur down into the water, where it would have drowned. The Aspidorhynchus, unable to free itself, would have been unable to swim or breathe properly, and would have suffocated. Locked together in this bizarre and fatal entanglement, they sank to the bottom of the lagoon, where they were quickly buried in the fine-grained sediment, preserving their incredible three-part story for us to discover millions of years later. Not all fossil fights are captured in the act. Sometimes, the evidence of a brutal encounter is left behind on the bones of the survivor, or the one that got away at least for a while. These battle scars, known as pathologies, are like forensic reports from the distant past. They can tell us about which animals fought, what weapons they used, and the incredible resilience of these ancient creatures. One of the most famous examples of this comes from a fossil of an Allosaurus, a large carnivorous dinosaur from the Jurassic period, which carries the wound from a legendary adversary, the Stegosaurus. In 1999, paleontologists studying the skeleton of an Allosaurus nicknamed Big Al noticed a huge, unusual injury on its pelvis. There was a massive puncture wound right in its crotch area, a very sensitive spot to get injured. The hole was deep and had clearly become infected. When scientists measured the wound, they found that its size and conical shape perfectly matched the tail spikes of a Stegosaurus. These spikes, arranged on the end of the herbivore's powerful tail, are called a thagomizer. It was clear evidence that this Allosaurus had tried to hunt a Stegosaurus and had learned a very painful lesson. The bone around the wound showed signs of healing, but also of a massive infection. A huge abscess the size of a fist had formed at the injury site. This tells us that the Allosaurus did not die immediately from the attack. It survived the initial impalement and limped away, living with the painful injury for weeks or even months. However, in a world without antibiotics, such a deep and severe infection would have been a death sentence. The constant pain would have made it difficult to hunt, and the infection likely spread throughout its body, eventually killing it. It's a gruesome but fascinating look at the consequences of a hunt gone wrong. This isn't the only evidence of such battles. Another fossil, this time from a Rauisuchian, a massive land-dwelling crocodile relative from the Triassic period, tells a similar story of repeated attacks. The femur bone of this 8-meter-long predator was found with multiple bite marks. Analysis revealed that some of the bites had healed, while others were fresh and contained embedded teeth from a Phytosaur, a large semi-aquatic predator. This suggests the Rauisuchian had survived an earlier attack from one Phytosaur only to be attacked and killed by another one later on. These fossils show us that even the apex predators were not safe. Life was a constant battle, and injury was a common part of a predator's life. The ancient oceans were just as dangerous as the land, if not more so. A remarkable fossil from Venezuela, dating back about 20 million years, paints a horrifying picture of a feeding frenzy in a prehistoric sea. The victim was a Metaxitherium, an ancient species of sea cow, a gentle, slow-moving marine mammal similar to today's manatees and dugongs. This particular sea cow was about 4 meters long and was minding its own business when it became the target of not one, but 2 different apex predators. The evidence on its bones tells a step-by-step story of a coordinated or coincidental attack from both a giant crocodilian and a massive shark. The first attacker was likely a huge ancient crocodilian, possibly a gharial or caiman, estimated to be around 6 meters long. The paleontologists who studied the fossil found distinctive bite marks on the sea cow's head and snout. The placement of these wounds suggests a classic crocodilian hunting strategy. The predator would have grabbed the air-breathing mammal by the head and attempted to drag it underwater to drown it. This would have been a terrifying and violent struggle, with the powerful sea cow thrashing to escape the reptile's crushing jaws. The nature of the bone damage indicates that the sea cow was alive during this initial assault, but the sea cow's terrible day wasn't over. While it was being attacked by the crocodilian, another predator joined the fray. Scientists found the teeth of an ancient tiger shark embedded in the sea cow's neck vertebrae. This suggests a second attack occurred during the struggle. The shark, perhaps drawn by the commotion and the scent of blood in the water, saw an opportunity for an easy meal. It lunged in, biting the sea cow from a different angle. It's a chilling scenario, an animal being assaulted from 2 directions at once by 2 of the ocean's top predators. This fossil is incredibly valuable because it documents a complex interaction between multiple species. It's rare to find evidence of one predator-prey interaction, let alone a multi-predator event. It confirms that these giant crocodilians and sharks shared the same coastal habitats and likely competed for the same food sources, including slow-moving sea cows. It also provides a graphic illustration of the concept of opportunistic feeding, where one predator takes advantage of a situation created by another. For the poor Metaxitherium, it was the worst possible luck, but for science, it's a priceless look into the brutal food web of Miocene-era oceans. Not all prehistoric battles were fought between giants. Some of the most dramatic and perfectly preserved conflicts involve creatures no bigger than your fingernail. These incredible scenes are found trapped in amber, which is fossilized tree resin. When a small insect or spider got stuck in the sticky resin millions of years ago, it was preserved in stunning three-dimensional detail. These tiny time capsules give us an unparalleled look into the world of ancient arthropods, often capturing moments of predation, combat, and warfare that would otherwise be completely lost to the fossil record. They prove that on a miniature scale, life was just as savage. One of the most remarkable amber fossils, found in Myanmar, and dating back 100 million years, shows the oldest known evidence of interspecies warfare among ants. Trapped inside the golden resin are two worker ants from different species, locked in mortal combat. One ant has its powerful mandibles clamped down on the head of the other. It's a frozen moment from a tiny, ancient war, a territorial dispute or a raid that was interrupted by a flow of sticky resin. It shows that the complex social behaviors and rivalries we see in ants today have incredibly deep evolutionary roots, stretching far back into the age of dinosaurs. Another piece of amber from the same region captures a moment of pure predation. It shows a juvenile spider attacking a parasitic wasp that had become entangled in its web. This is the only known fossil that shows a spider in the active process of preying on an insect caught in its web. We can see the spider lunging, its fangs ready, and the wasp struggling to escape. It's an incredibly dynamic scene, providing concrete evidence of a behavior that, until this discovery, could only be inferred from the existence of ancient spiders and their silk. It's a snapshot of a life and death drama that plays out countless times a day, but one that was captured for eternity 100 million years ago. These tiny windows into the past are profoundly important. They fill in the gaps in our understanding of ancient ecosystems, showing us the complex relationships between the smallest inhabitants. From ants fighting termites to spiders hunting their prey, these amber fossils prove that the fundamental drives of survival, hunting for food, defending territory, and fighting off rivals, are universal principles of life, operating at every scale. They demonstrate that the world of the dinosaurs was not just a land of giants. It was a rich, intricate world teeming with small-scale dramas, each one as intense and as meaningful as the battles fought by the Titans.